Hey guys, welcome back to the video. I'm Luke, a CFA Charterholder, and in today's video we're going to be discussing extraordinary general meetings and specifically how they contrast with annual general meetings. So yeah, let's get into it. Annual general meetings occur in the ordinary course of business, and they are a meeting where the last 12 months worth of financial performance and current financial position are reviewed, and shareholders get the opportunity to vote on executive compensation plans, auditor reappointment or the appointment of a new auditor. They get a say on pay when it comes to senior executive compensation packages going forward. And it's generally a meeting where issues and matters that occur in the ordinary course of business are discussed, whereas extraordinary general meetings, also known as EGMs, are called on a more ad hoc basis in exceptional circumstances. So when urgent issues come up and managers need shareholder input and shareholder approval, they call an EGM. AGMs are called periodically and typically around the same sort of time every year to discuss more routine matters. EGMs are called to discuss the most urgent matters that a company can face, matters that can't wait until the next AGM takes place. There's also a distinction in terms of who calls these two meetings. So AGMs are called by the board, whereas EGMs can be called by the board, but they can also be called by the shareholders themselves. So if, for example, shareholders are unhappy with the performance of the board, they may call the EGM to discuss the potential removal of the board. A minimum number of shareholders need to request the EGM if they are to call it, and these are known as the calling shareholders. So what are some of the key matters that shareholders are called to vote at an EGM? So the first one, as I alluded to, is the election or dismissal of board members, and this is typically proposed by shareholders who are unhappy with the performance of the board. They may call an EGM to allow all of the shareholders in the shareholder base to vote on whether a potential board member needs to be dismissed, or conversely it could be to elect a new board member on an ad hoc basis. The second key matter is an amendment to company bylaws, the Articles of Association or other constitutional amendments. So if any company amendments need to be changed at short notice, an EGM may be called to allow that to go to a vote. The third item that could lead to an EGM being called is an M&A transaction. So if a company has a target in sight and it's done a lot of work on it, it's done the due diligence and it's ready to press the acquire button, then an EGM may be called to allow the shareholders to vote on whether they would like to go ahead with it or whether they'd like to propose to vote against it. Similarly, if a company itself is the target of a potential takeover, an EGM may be called to allow shareholders to vote for or against that. The fourth item that may lead to an EGM being called is an increase in capital. So if the company is looking to raise additional equity or debt capital and managers are proposing that as a potential route to go down, then an EGM may be called to allow shareholders to vote for or against that. And finally, in the most extreme circumstances, a liquidation. So if a company is underperforming and it's struggling to service its debt, it looks like it's going to become insolvent, then managers may propose a liquidation where the firm sells off its assets and returns as much of the proceeds as possible to its outstanding creditors. Then shareholders need to be aware of that and are allowed to vote on that at an extraordinary general meeting. So that's EGMs in a nutshell. Hopefully that was all clear. EGMs, in effect, are called when urgent matters need to be discussed and voted upon, and can happen at any time. They can happen during the day, at weekends, at night. If a key company matter has arisen that requires fast and rapid resolution, then an EGM will be called to allow shareholders to have their say on that matter, and that's in distinct contrast to AGMs, which occur in the ordinary course of business, are pretty routine, discuss routine matters. Yeah, that's EGMs in a nutshell. Hopefully that was all clear. Any questions, feel free to fire them off in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next video.